The 11th Doctor takes his companion, Clara Oswald, and her wards, Angie and Artie, to the biggest amusement park in the galaxy, Hedwig's World of Wonders. However, the theme park is empty, occupied only by a quote unquote punishment platoon and a lone impresario with empty Cyberman shells as exhibits. Or so it seems. When the doctor decides to stay a while to investigate strange insect creatures that are roaming the park, he soon discovers that these insects are really machines seeking to convert the life forms on Hedwig's world into the newest generation of the ever upgrading menace. Welcome, friends and companions! Yes, you see it. I had planned this live stream for Monday, the 14th, 13th, for but did you see it? I do it now. That's why I call it random. That's why I'm called Enigmatic. Yes, you need to subscribe to this channel to know when the broadcast is. So instead of Monday the 13th, we do it on this day, Friday the 10th, or if you are in another time zone, other day, whatever. Yes, and actually, we are now in the almost there. Series 14 or season 1 of Doctor Who with the 15th Doctor, the Kutikatwa. Yes! That's all right. That's all right. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious about this Doctor, about these new adventures. We've waited so long for this new series, and I'm happy to say yes. I'm looking forward to it. And are you looking forward to it? I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious and yeah, very excited. And there are 2 episodes. Yes, 2 episodes to enjoy. Yes, and of course we will do this. Will do the 2 stories next week, and I will analyze and discuss the 2 newest episodes, the new story of Doctor Who. Um, but for today, we do another Doctor, the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith. The story is called Nightmare in Silver. Nightmare in Silver. But of course, we do some commercials because yes, of course, I already did some commercials by the way to say that we will do we will discuss the 2 newest episodes of Doctor Who next week. You will see when that will be. But first of all, what's this? Sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about the beloved books, movies, series, and fantasies. We also talk about food, drinks, music, and sport. But we don't do politics or religion because it's not entertainment. Um, we are still in the wonderful of Doctor Who. Why is it called random? Random because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies, series, books, and music. Random because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times, and you will see it. And again, and I say it again and again. I had planned this live stream for next Monday, but I do it today because I'm random and I was an enigmatic joker. Yeah, some mystery in it. Because by the way, Doctor Who is also a mysterious. The Doctor is mysterious. So yeah, actually I'm a little bit influenced by the Doctor. So that's right. That also in the world of Doctor Who, there are also fixed and non-fixed times and parallel worlds and all sort of things. Canon, non-canon, and actually in the world of the Doctor Who, there's not such thing as canon. And in fact, it's more like choose your own canon. Yes, choose your own canon. And that's why I like Doctor Who so very much, because he can to do many ways to go to in the world of Doctor Who. Doctor Who is my most favorite sci-fi and fantasy show, and it's already running for more than 60 years. Yes, and we have so much Doctors to enjoy. From the first Doctor to now the 15th Doctor, and again and again I'm very curious what the 15th Doctor would be, what his character is, and how he deals with certain situations, and how he dives into adventures, and how the dynamics will be with his companions. So again and again, that's why Doctor Who is so very good. Okay, that's a commercial Doctor Who. Yeah, Doctor Who has a special place on this channel. Of course, I will discuss other things, and as I promised, I will also do some things about music. But entertainment is more than franchises. It's also books. It's also music. It's also about favorite food and drinks. So, what does the Doctor like? Example, the 11th Doctor, Matt Smith, we are discussing today, likes fish fingers and custard, for example. But other incarnations of Doctor like other things. So food is also very important to discuss. Have you got ideas and options? You can contact me via Discord or YouTube. That's other thing that I will discuss later in my thing. So again, random, because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Okay. Random also, because we have new guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or slash YouTube, and we will look what is possible. And of course, you can put your comments under the videos, and you can contact me via the comments, or you can look for me on the Discord server, Random Entertainment Channel, tag Doctor Who, and I'm bumped the server regularly, so you probably will find me very quick. So you can send me a personal message via this Discord server, and yeah, we will look as possible. You can put your IDs, you can talk to me, chat about your favorite shows, and etc. 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 Yeah, okay. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker, that's me. So today we do an 11th Doctor story, Nightmare in Silver. So we will now do some general info about this story, Nightmare in Silver. So, Nightmare in Silver was the 12th and penultimate episode of Series 7 of Doctor Who. This adventure introduced a dramatic redesign of the Cyberman race that replaced the previous Cybus Industries design they had maintained since the return in Rise of the Cybermen, with these Cybermen employing a multitude of new abilities, including that of being able to convert species other than humans. Not counting the ambitious Cybus-like Cybermen from A Good Man Goes to War onward. This episode also definitely reintroduced the original Cybermen of the Doctor's universe to television for the first time since the series restarted back in 2005. Their last television appearance being Silver Nemesis, 25 years prior. Likewise, the Cybermets evolved with their progenitors into a more compact form known as Cybermites. Additionally, the Cybermen utilized a cyber planner for the first time on screen in the revived series. Last seen in The Evasion. The episode also saw the introduction of the Siberians, the collective consciousness of all Cybermen. It also saw the Cybermen become much more efficient and deadly, being able to almost instantly adapt to weaknesses. And they also overcame their weakness to goals. Very important to note. So, unknown to the viewers at the time, the doctor's threat to purge Mr. Cleaver from his body through regeneration was a lie. Similar to the twin dilemma, that's a sixth Doctor story with Colin Baker. So, with a character Esmel, the Doctor had no regenerations left. This episode also marks one of the few times on screen that the Doctor has allowed children inside of the TARDIS, due to them being associated with one of his companions. He previously had done so in his previous incarnation with Sarah Jane's companions in the wedding of Sarah Jane Smith when they asked to take a look inside the time machine. It's also a future episode with the 12th Doctor. 12th Doctor Peter Capaldi when he is taking Courtney from Coalhouse School to the moon, actually. Yeah. What's for later? Um, so this episode also allowed Matt Smith to undertake a dual role as 11th Doctor gained his evil Cyberman alter ego, Mr. Cleaver, making Miss Smith the sixth actor of the Doctor to have placed both the Doctor and one of the main antagonists in a story, following William Hartnell in The Massacre, Patrick Troughton in The Enemy of the World, Tom Baker in Macloss, and Peter Davison and Colin Baker in Arc of Infinity. So that is the general info. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. We now dive into the plot, and if you haven't watched this episode, this story yet, I highly recommend you to watch it first and then to tune in and listen further to this plot. So, spoiler alert, and I will take now a little pause for you. Watch this episode. Okay, I've taken some energy in the form of water. That's from my throat. And now let's start with the plot. So, the TARDIS lands and the 11th Doctor, Clara, Angie, and Artie Maitland step out. The Doctor welcomes them to Hedwig's World of Wonders, the biggest and best amusement park ever. Angie and Artie point out that it looks like the doctor is wrong and that they are actually on the moon, despite his protests to the contrary. Suddenly, a rock opens and a short man in a top hat peeks out and asks if they are his ride from Dave's interstellar taxi service. They deny it, prompting the men to note that the service was supposed to come months ago. A shout goes up, and the man disappears. A military platoon comes storming out and demands identification from the travelers. The doctor flashes his golden ticket, and when that doesn't work, whips out the psychic paper. Captain recognizes him as the Imperial Consul and asks for news of the Emperor. The doctor tells her that he hasn't heard anything more than she has. From this, the doctor learns that the Emperor has vanished. The doctor dismisses the platoon, and the top hat man comes out again. The man leads them into the desolate, formerly Grand Amusement Park, then into his attraction, Webley's World of Wonders. He introduces himself as Impresario Webley and shows them his waxwork attractions of beings. He asks Artie for a game of chess and leads him to a chessboard, explaining that, quote, we destroyed them thousands years ago, and now he's back to destroy you. Behold, the enemy. Webley pulls a sheet of the other side of the table, revealing a Cyberman powering up. The doctor yells for everyone to get down. However, Webley smiles and assures them that it's completely harmless. He cites his display as, quote, the 699th wonder of the universe, end quote, and a master at chess, despite the fact that it is an empty shell. He offers 5 imperial shillings for a penny if Artie can beat the Cyberman at chess. Artie offers a sandwich, and Webley accepts. The Cyberman defeats Artie with a fool's mate. Webley shows that the shell is free of all devices and offers a silver penny to Angie if she can figure out how it works. She guesses that it's done with mirrors, but the doctor deduces that it is being controlled by a man inside the box. He opens the box, revealing Webley's conspirator, Porridge, and Webley gives Angie the silver penny. Webley shows off the rest of his Cyberman collection, as well as a wax figure of Emperor Ludens Nimrod Kendrick Court Longstaff, the whatever, defender of humanity and imperator of known space. The adults lead the kids off to the spacey Zoomer ride, an anti-grav ride, and let them fly and float around. Afterwards, Clara wants to get the kids home, but the doctor doesn't want to leave. He finds, quote, funny insects, end quote, that he wants to investigate and forces everybody to stay longer. The kids crash on couches in Webley's house, and the adults go off to explore, with the doctor warning the kids not to wander off. Terrified kids settle into the couches. Webley resets his chessboard while eating the sandwich he won off of Artie. Suddenly, the Cyberman grabs him and Cybermites begin upgrading him. Meanwhile, Hansi declares his future to be stupid, complaining that there isn't even phone service. She leaves despite protests from Artie, as the insects crawled over Clara's phone. Elsewhere, Porridge explains the Cyberman to Clara. He tells her of the Tiberian spiral galaxy, which had to be blown up to destroy the Cyberman. Porridge comments that he feels like a monster. Instead of mourning a billion trillion deaths, he feels sorry for the person who had to press the button. The doctor interrupts and asks Clara if she told Angie she could go to the barracks. Clara realizes that Angie has wandered off. In the barracks, the platoon are trying to fix their systems when Angie appears. The captain asks Angie where her sister was. Realizing that she meant Clara, Angie denies that they are sisters, calling Clara stupid and saying she was talking to Porridge. The captain mistaking this as Clara talking to real Porridge. The captain pulls Angie off for a talk. Meanwhile, Artie wanders off, looking for a light switch. After he finally finds the light, one of the Cybermen suits suddenly grabs in. At the barracks, Angie is telling the captain about Porridge when Clara storms in. Without warning, an upgraded Cyberman appears in the doorway. The Cyberman captures Angie and escapes. Clara tries to go after Angie, but is stopped by the doctor. He promises that he will get Angie back and invokes his quote power as, quote, Imperial Council, end quote, stripping the captain of her rank and giving it to Clara. He tells Clara not to let them blow up the planet, to get to somewhere defensible and to stay alive. The Cyberman brings Angie to a room where she finds her brother controlled by a cyber earpiece. She attempts to get his attention. He responds in an electronic voice that she would wait to be upgraded. Seeing Webley shushing her, Angie screams in terror. Meanwhile, Clara, in her new role as commander, scrounges up all the resources to build an offense against the Cybermen. They decide to move to Nettie Longshoe's comical castle for defense. The captain informs Clara that the platoon can deal with one Cyberman, but there are protocols that they must follow if they cannot find and destroy it, specifically to blow up the planet. Clara rejects this and orders the platoon to move to the castle. The doctor returns to where he left the children, finding them missing. He spots a cyber insect on a display. Regarding it, he informs whoever is watching the feed that the children are under his protection and he is coming to get them. Then he informs the machine that it is beautiful. Sonics it and studies it. He uses the sonic to tune into the local transmit, bringing himself to the children and Webley. Webley explains to the doctor that as the battle raged between humanity and the Cyberians, the Cybermen built a bunker to repair their damaged units. They needed children's brains to build a new cyberplanner, as a child's brain has infinite potential. However, now that the doctor is there, they have no need of the children. A Time Lord has a brain filled with more potential than mere children. The doctor scoffs, telling them that they can only convert humans. Webley tells him that is no longer true. Thanks to the cyber wars, the Cybermen were forced to learn how to bypass the limitations of assimilating only humans into their fold. Webley throws cybermites onto the Doctor, which incorporate him into the cyber network. He becomes a cyber planner with non-human brain power to dream up ideas to strengthen the Cyberians. The cyber planner takes stock of the Doctor's body, noting the unfamiliar systems and remarkable brain power. Tying the title, quote, cyber planner, end quote, duel, it instead calls itself, quote, Mr. Cleaver, quote. Inside the Doctor's mind, the two meet and battle for control. The cyber planner using his memories to torment the Doctor. The cyber planner finds delight in his cleverness, realizing that there is information on the Time Lords available. The Doctor blocks it, all but information on regeneration. He threatens to regenerate right then and there to burn out the cyber planner. He doesn't want to, unsure of what he'll end up with next, but acknowledges that he could do it. The cyber planner declares a stalemate, concluding that they are too well balanced. Each controls 49.881% of the brain, leaving 0.238% unclaimed. The Doctor challenges the cyber planner to a game of chess. Winner takes all. If the cyber planner wins, he gets the Doctor's mind. If the Doctor wins, he gets his mind back. The children are freed and nobody dies. Elsewhere, Missy takes Quark of a corridor. She notices Shadow and reports it as possible Cyberman. It is a Cyberman. The Cyberman detaches his hand, which crawls over to Missy and drags her out of her hiding place. Back at base, the platoon realize that the Cyberman is on its way. Clara demands to be shown all weapons, which consist of one anti-cyber gun. hand pulses able to disable a Cyberman on contact, and a weapon which can implode the planet. Clara takes remote control for a less weapon from the captain, but the captain informs her that the fallback voice activation is set to respond to a voice only. Clara orders her to detonate the device only when she directly orders her to. The captain challenges Clara's command, but Clara asserts her authority with Porridge's help and signs for the remote control. Meanwhile, the Doctor and the Cyberplanner begin their chess game. While they play, the Cyberplanner asks the Doctor why the Siberian has no record of him. He then realizes that the Doctor has purposely erased himself from history and notes that he could be reconstructed from the holes he left. The Cyberplanner rails against him, telling the Doctor that he cannot win against him. The Doctor counters with his knowledge of early Cybermen. Their coats can be scrambled by cleaning, fluids, and gold. The Cyberplanner laughs. That's your plan? Cleaning fluid? The Doctor replies in negative, slapping his golden ticket on the metallic growth on his face, temporarily scrambling the circuits. He comes back to himself, collects his chessboard, and leaves with the children and Webley. Back at the castle, the captain and Porridge are discussing a secret regarding Porridge. Clara interrupts, asking why it was necessary to blow up a whole planet just to get rid of one Cyberman. Porridge says that there are other ways to kill a Cyberman, but they don't always work. Blowing up the planet is the only fire way to do it. The captain says that she was sent to the punishment platoon because she didn't follow orders, and she can make up for it now. She declares that she will do what she was born to do: fight for the Empire. She begins to voice activate the weapon but is shot by a Cyberman. Clara decides to go on to the offensive, otherwise facing death. The platoon mobilizes with hand pulses and the anti-cyber gun and launch sneak attacks on the Cybermen, with limited success. The Doctor approaches the castle with the children and Webley in tow. Clara comes out with the anti-cyber gun and the Doctor greets her. The Doctor rattles off his news. He kidnapped the Cyberplanner, which in his head. Kids are in a walking coma, which he may or may not be able to correct. And they are more Cybermen active, and the Cyberplanner is installing a gold patch. He asks for a table, somebody to immobilize him. Once tied up, the Doctor removes the gold sheet from his face, either of his own will or because Mr. Cleaver managed to bypass gold weakness. The Cyberplanner re-emerges and begins to taunt Clara. As the Cyberplanner continues to rattle on threats, the Doctor moves his hand, writing, quote, hit me, end quote, on a notepad beside his chessboard. Clara obliges, smacking him. The Doctor explains that a sudden shock to his nerves is what he needed to get back control. Clara demands to know the stakes. The Doctor tells her, but admits that the Cyberplanner will probably break his promise if the Doctor wins the chess match. Clara begs the Doctor to fix NG and RD, but he says that they're just in standby mode. When Clara protests, the Doctor says the children have a much better chance of getting out this situation alive than she does. Taken aback, Clara asks which of the two personalities said that. With a smirk, Mr. Clever states it was him. He threatens her immediate death, and she leaves to prepare the platoon for the coming onslaught. Clara discusses their weapons, which are minimal at that point. Spotting a cable, she cleverly devises a plan to electrify the water in the moat. They drop the cable into the water, turn on the power, and raise the drawbridge to force the Cybermen to cross the water. The Doctor's game continues. Inside his mind, the Siren Penner awakes the legions of the Cybermen hidden in the barracks. Inside the castle, the platoon prepares their defense. The Doctor calls for Clara as he goes to check on him. The Doctor cheerfully asks her for a rundown on their weapons, with keen interest in the planet's imploding bomb. She shows him the remote trigger, which he tries to take possession of. She snatches it away from him, suspicious of who really is in control. The Doctor says the Cyberplanner is hibernating, but Clara doesn't buy it. She tells him to tell her something only the Doctor knows. Looking rather sincere, the Doctor begins to tell her that he is falling in love with her. He moves to kiss her, but Clara slaps him again. The Doctor comes to himself, asking Clara how she knew. Clara, that's even if what Clara, that's even if what Mr. Clever said was true about the Doctor. Doctor himself would never say those things. Clara tells him to finish the game, and the cyberpanner grabs her hand, wresting the remote control from her and destroying it. The Doctor is grim, but is overtaken once more. Mr. Clever states that without the threat of the planet blowing up to deter them, he can now order the Cybermen to attack. Clara and the platoon ready their attack with the 5-hand pulses and a nearly depleted anti-cyber gun. The cyber planner declares endgame and moves to finish the Doctor. The cyber army begins to assault the castle. One steps into the moat and is apparently electrocuted. The platoon celebrates, but then the Cyberman aggravates itself. The patch is spread through the ranks, and the Cybermen continue onward. Clara gives orders to defend the castle and tells Porridge to keep himself safe. 2 soldiers shoot down the first Cyberman, but bonks as more come through. Porridge grabs the bomb, muttering that he should have destroyed the planet when he had the chance. The Cyberplanner taunts the Doctor, offering him one more deal. If the Doctor sacrifices his queen, the Cyberplanner will release the children but win the game in 5 moves and take the Doctor's mind. The Doctor accepts the deal, and Angie and Artie are released. The Cyberplanner taunts him once more, telling him how foolish he was to have pointlessly sacrificed himself for 2 human children. He mockingly asks the Doctor if he thinks that the death of the children will affect his relationship with Clara. Webley moves to kill children, but Porridge slaps a hand pulse onto his leg and kills him. Angie awakes, and the Doctor tells her to look after Artie. The Doctor taunts the Cyberplanner, telling him that sacrificing his queen was the best move he could have made. The Time Lords invented chess, and the Doctor has cleverly set up a trap that will give him checkmate in 3 moves. Outside, Cybermen are overwhelming the platoon, but as they are about to deliver the killing blows, the Cyberplanner pulls in their resources, giving him extra processing power to figure out and counter the Doctor's strategy. It saves the lives of Clara and the rest of the platoon, but puts the Doctor at a serious disadvantage. As the platoon makes their last stand, the Doctor initiates his endgame. Move 1. Turn on sonic screwdriver. Move 2. Activate pulse. Move 3. Apply pulse. Quote, that's cheating, end quote. The Cyberplanner howls in impotent fury. The Doctor slaps himself with the hands, pulse, and destroys the cyber circuitry in his body. Clara rushes in to find the Doctor completely back to himself and unties him. The Doctor explains that, having been expelled from his body, Mr. Cleaver Clever Cleaver Mr. Clever is now in every Cyberman. The doctor decides that they need to blow up the planet to destroy the Cybermen. This seems impossible since the captain is dead, but Angie deduces that Porridge can voice Activa Emperor. The statue was made taller than he actually was, but his face matches that of it, as well as the face on the coin she was given. Porridge reluctantly admits that Angie is right, but states that he hates his job, and if he activates the Desolator, it's all over. Confronted with the reality of the situation, Porridge reluctantly activates the Desolator, which will blow in about 80 seconds. However, the activation by Porridge has signaled the Imperial flagship, which transmits everyone and, at the Doctor's request, the TARDIS aboard. As the group watches, the Desolator destroys Hedgewig's World of Wonders, and presumably all of the Cybermen. Porridge remarks that he liked being normal, not an emperor of 1,000 galaxies, not lonely. Clara says that he doesn't have to be lonely, and he agrees, proposing to her on the spot. The doctor attempts to interrupt, but is shushed by Clara, who prompts the emperor to continue. Boris makes a convincing argument, to which Clara declines gently, and she calls her stupid for not saying yes, loudly declaring that one day she'll be queen of the universe. Porridge pretends to threaten them with execution before mirthfully telling them to leave. The doctor returns the children and Clara to their home, pondering Clara's identity once more. Back on the Imperial ship, the Emperor asks if there was a cybertech remaining. With the answer being no, the Emperor then flies his ship home, with a floating Cybermite blinking in the darkness of space. And that's my fellow Wovians, is the end of this story of this episode called Nightmare in Silver. Okay, I will mention some, I will name some cast members. The Doctor, the 11th Doctor is played by our beloved Matt Smith. Clara is played by Jenna Louise Coleman. Angie is played by Eve de Leon Allen. Archie is played by Cassius Carey Johnson. Webley is played by Jason Watkins. And Porridge is played by Warwick Davis. The captain is played by Tenzin Outwait. And Beauty is played by Eloise Joseph. Brains is played by Will Merrick. Haha is played by Calvin Dean. Misty is played by Sarah Ahmadi. Simon is played by Aiden Cook. And the voice of Simon is, of course, the well-known and famous Nicholas Briggs, also voiced the Daleks in the many stories. So, dan some world building species. Rocks work sculpted in the likeness of Shenshit. On unfurled near head, the upper body of a blowfish, a creature resembling a gastropod, an ultramancer, Pan-Babylonian and Lugal era Kush can be seen on display inside the room housing the chessboard. World building about the Cybermen is that the Cyber Wars ended 1,000 years ago. The planet where Hedwig's Ward is situated was used to hide 3 million Cybermen and prepare them. Good to note. And a second thing in the Cybermen is the quote, Siberians refers to the collective consciousness of the Cybermen. That's the explanation about the Siberians. So Siberians is a reference to the collective consciousness of the Cybermen. Okay, it's well explained. Will be in relation to the Doctor is that whilst under possession by the cyber planet, the Doctor mimics the Ninth Doctor's accent and catchphrase of "fantastic," as well as the Tenth Doctor's of "allons-y." So there's some link to Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant. Another thing is, in relation to the Doctor, is that in addition to his binary vascular system, the Doctor has a hyperconductive nervous system and a quote remarkable brain power, processing power end quote. According to Mr. Clever, he also notices that the Doctor has had 10 complete rejigs, regenerations. So, one thing about Clara is that the Doctor and Clara meet on Wednesdays for their adventures. Why that is? Do you know it? Another thing involved being in relation to games is that the Doctor claims that the game of chess was invented by the Time Lords. Yes. So, if you want to know where that nice game of chess came from, that is from the Time Lords. And actually, I have a chessboard here, a computer chessboard. I can play it against the computer. But yeah, it's a long time ago I played chess, by the way. So maybe I will play some chess today because I have enough time and must wait for the 2 new episodes of Doctor Who. So maybe I will play some chess. But it is invented by the Time Lords. So you know we know more about the chess. So and another thing in the games is that the RT Maitland plays chess versus the quote Cyberman Porridge and accidentally commits a fool's mate. So a fool's mate is a term in the chess. So it's also some world building. Technology. And he has a cell phone, but can't get any service on Hedwig's world. Yes, more time so, but the Doctor can deal with that. In some stories, you can see that he uses his sonic screwdriver, and that actually, well, for example, Rose can call her can call her mother, and in the Ninth Doctor story, Rose can call her mother, because the Ninth Doctor can use his screwdriver to make contact. But in this story, he doesn't use this trick. The platoon has a broken solid state, either Ansible class communicator, a malfunctioning weather controller, and these pieces of a Siberia class weaponry, an anti-cyber gun, hand pulses, and a bomb that can implode the planet. Um, Another thing, influences from other shows. There's also, according to the behind the scenes, the Cybermen were redesigned for this episode and got a variety of new abilities and features. These new Cybermen share several similarities with the Borg of Star Trek franchise, which were in turn originally based somewhat upon the Cybermen. So the Cybermen's ability to adapt to attacks is reminiscent of the Borg from Star Trek: The Next Generation with Captain Picard. Additionally, the Borg used nanoprobes to convert individuals, similar to the cybermites. And Webley's cyber appearance is reminiscent of the Borg's quote, help machine, help human, end quote, phase. And as of Star Trek First Contact, they, like the Cybermen, assimilated new members by use of something coming out of their wrists. Voice notifications for individuals to convert were also typical for the Borg and the Cybermen, both new and old. The last thing in this is that this episode uses a camera technique known as quote bullet time, popularized in the Matrix, in the 4 films of the Matrix. Actually, I have watched the Matrix. Also recommendable. At the Neo. Yes, the Matrix. Also, some sort of Doctor Who universe, by the way, or a parallel world. Actually, hey, you can. Actually, I have an idea. You can make a crossover Doctor Who and Matrix. Actually, very interesting. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, email Russell for this. Okay. Again, this episode uses a camera technique known as bullet time, popularized in the Matrix, to frame out the high-speed movements of the new Cybermen, as shown in the behind-the-scenes featurette on the DVD. I have that behind-the-scenes thing. So it's also recommendable uh, to watch behind the scenes. By the way, there's also on Blu-rays and DVDs. You can sometimes there are some behind the scenes things and other knowable things about the episode. So, also highly recommendable to watch the behind the scenes sometimes. Um, so I have some story notes. Yeah, some story notes. So the episode had working title of The Last of the Cybermen, Silver Goats, A Nightmare in Silver, and The Last Cyberman. The second note is that Clara asks, can Cybermen fly? And then with the answer being no. However, they eventually gain the ability to, in Death in Heaven, where Missy's Cybermen are able to fly. So, good to know context and development of this Cyberman thing. Third thing is that, though not stated in the episode, Neil Gaiman revealed that he saw it as taking place a quarter of a million years into the future. A third thing is that the ending of the story, in which a lone Cybermite is seen drifting into space, having escaped the destruction of the planet, is reminiscent of the end of the Tomb of the Cybermen. That is the second Doctor story, by the way, with Frederick Troughton. That is in which a single Cybermet escapes from the tombs just before they are sealed. Fifth thing is that subsequently the Cybermen exiting their tombs mirrors the cliffhanger of Earthshock Part 3 when three rows of Cybermen march towards the camera. It's also very similar to the scene where the Cybermen come out of their tombs in the Tomb of the Cybermen again. Sorry, Earthshock is, by the way, Fifth Doctor story with Peter Davison. The sixth note is that the Doctor threatens to regenerate to eliminate all traces of Mr. Clever from his body, though it's later revealed that this was actually a bluff. We see that in the TV special, the TV episode, The Time of the Doctor. However, the Doctor could have been threatening to commit suicide like Asmael previously did in the Twin Dilemma. That's Sixth Doctor starring Colin Baker. It's the first story of Colin Baker, actually. The seventh note is that the scene where Porch operates Cyberman exoskeleton in a game of chess is a homage to the Turk, an animatronic man that was purported to be a chess-playing automaton, an animatronic capable of a completely independent motion. So in reality, the Turk was operated with from within by a human chess master, not unlike Hetch's quote, Cyberman, end quote. The Turk previously served as an inspiration for the television story The Girl in the Fireplace. That's a story with the Doctor story. Uh, yeah, and audio stories The Silver Turk. Eighth thing is that this is the 11th time the actor playing the Doctor has portrayed a different character in the same story. Have I also already mentioned in this live stream. Although in this case only the Doctor and the other character physically inhabit the same body. Other doppelgangers previously were seen with William Hartnell, The Chase and the Massacre, Patrick Troughton in the Enemy of the World, Tom Baker in the Endroot Invasion and Meklos, Peter Davison in Arc Infinity and the Case of Androzani, David Tennant is Junior's End, and Matt Smith, Almost People and the Winning of River Song. Another thing is, when the Doctor lets Mr. Clever access his memories on regeneration, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th Doctor are seen. Each image is taken from photograph stills used as promotional material during the respective actors' tenures. Another thing is, the converted verbally tells the Doctor that the Cybermen had turned children into cyberplanners in the past because of a child's imagination. This mirrors the reasoning behind the renegade Daleks' use of a young girl as their battle computer in remembrance of the Daleks. Another thing is that the Cyberplanner makes its first appearance within the revived series. However, this is not the first time it has been incorporated into the elements of the revived timeline. Cyberplanners previously appeared in a game. It's called Eternity Clock. It's a famous game. I've not played it, but I know some people who play this game. Next thing is this the third consecutive series penultimate episode where the Cybermen have been featured after the Pandora opens and closing time. Another thing is that following the success of The Doctor's Wife, Stephen Moffat invited Neil Gaiman to write a second script for the series. Gaiman advised Moffat that he would be unlikely to be available, especially since his previous episode had been such a time-consuming endeavor. However, he was persuaded, and Moffat suggested that this would be an opportunity to revamp the Cybermen. So, another thing is that a lifelong fan of the series, Neil Gaiman had fond memories of Patrick Troughton's encounters with the Cybermen. He felt that it made sense for them to be regularly updated, thinking in terms of rapid evolution of modern technology like smartphones. He also wanted to make the Cybermen more stealthy and spooky, whereas the modern versions had been portrayed as noisy and slow moving. Gaiman felt that the parallel universe Cybermen would likely have merged with their counterparts from Mondes, giving him the freedom to conceive a new form of Cybermen which drew upon the best of all of their previous appearances. Also, Neil Gaiman was keen to revisit the Cybermets. He knew that they had been inspired by silverfish, which led them to take the concept to its next logical stage in the form of the cybermites. He imagined that this microscopic form of cyberlife could actually be a component of the process which turned a human being into a cyberman. Another thing, in Neil Gaiman considered various settings, including the Cyrenic Empire, is set up on a 1950s seaside fairground. However, when he described potential scenes such as an army of Cybermen emerging from the water onto the beach, he was informed by the production team that his notions were not achievable on a serious budget. Instead, Gaiman reworked his plans for a futuristic amusement park. So another thing is that Doctor was originally to be accompanied by a Victorian governess named Beryl Montague, and her two charges, Charlotte and Godfrey. Neil Gaiman accordingly conceived elements which would suit Barrel's 19th century origins, such as the presence of an alien freak show and primacy of courageous duty to his subjects. Another thing about Neil Gaiman's work on the script, proud to a halt when he lost his laptop after leaving it behind on an airplane. Too busy with other commitments to reconstruct his work to date, Gaiman deferred further progress. Another thing is that Alice's punishment platoon was initially conceived as being exclusively female. Another thing is that the sequence in which the soldiers are attacked by Simon moving at incredible speed was inspired by Neil Gaiman's attendance at a party in late April to recognize the third anniversary of Kickstarter. Observing the silver balloons which festooned this venue, he considered how easy it would be for Simon to invite himself into the proceedings. Noticed what the guests danced and celebrated. Another thing is that in the aftermath of the Cyberman's defeat, there was initially a sequence in which Angie saw an older version of herself wearing wedding dress who had apparently been brought to Imperial ship by a future doctor. Another thing is that the episode was to end with an ominous scene in Siberia featuring Cybermen from throughout their televised history, including all the Cybermen resembling those seen in the 10th Planet, who would hint at a broader plot to snare the Doctor. Another thing is that the shutdown with the cyber armor was originally set on an island attraction accessible only by boat, a castle which replaced it. This bore the moniker, quote, Nettie Longshoe, quote, end quote, which was an homage to Pippi Longstocking. Another thing is that Nehemiah Webley was named after folk and alternate musician Jason Webley, who had collaborated with Neil Gaiman's wife, Amanda Palmer. Another thing is that chess playing Simon was dubbed Marvelo and then the Amazing Marvel before losing its moniker altogether. Another thing is that until a very late stage, the theme park was called Lambric's World after the delinquent boy who led Pinocchio astray. However, the name was amended to Hatch's World when it was discovered that there was an actual retailer of light fixtures called Lambric's World. Another thing is that the episode comprised block 10 of season 7. Another thing is that it was the first of 4 consecutive episodes produced by Dennis Powell, while Marcus Wilson, who would receive a credit as series producer on these occasions, turned his attention to the day of the Doctor. Another thing is that the scenes at the castle was the first material to be shot. Another thing is that Neil Gaiman announced his return to the series during his Hugo Award acceptance speech for the Doctor's wife, commenting that only a fool or a madman would try again. So it was in his third draft now. Another thing is that Warwick Davis stated that it was a thrill to be in the series, especially in an episode with a Cyberman written by Neil Gaiman. Um, so Neil Gaiman hoped to write a script that would win Matt Smith a BAFTA. Another thing is the production of the Name of the Doctor began this day. Special effects shots were completed on this episode as the requirements of the schedule necessitated the overlapping of blocks 10 and 11. During editing, a scene was dropped in which the Doctor mimicked Prince Philip while masquerading as the proconsul. Ironically, Matt Smith would later play the Duke of Edinburgh in the first 2 seasons of The Crown. Another thing is that Neil Gaiman struggled to find a way to better involve the Doctor in action. He finally came up with the idea of engaging Doctor and the Cyberpanner in a set duel set inside the Time Lord's mind, affording Matt Smith the opportunity to give a very different on-screen performance. He did very well. So Neil Gaiman originally wanted the Cybermen to be silent, as he found the 1960s Cybermen much scarier than the Daleks, quote, because they were quiet and they slipped in and out of rooms. Another thing is, on redesigning the Cybermen, Neil Gaiman decided to take the 1960s Cybermen and incorporate everything that has happened since. However, Gaiman said that he got completely sidetracked by a mad, strange romp. Stephen Muppet stated that the Cybermen were redesigned because they did so often in the classic series, yet had been consistent in the new series. The previous design of the Cybermen also appear in this episode, but are not the primary threats. Um, Neil Gaiman was motivated to provide a rationalization for the Cybermen in current Doctor Who continuity. The classic series had depicted the Cybermen as alien cyborgs, while the revived series depicted them as human cyborgs from a parallel Earth. Gaiman opined that this Cybermen stemmed from an encounter and amalgamation of these two types of Cybermen following the next Doctor episode story. During filming at Castle Quatch, a copy of the read-through script was found in a taxi in Cardiff. It was marked as being Eve de Leon Allen's copy and had the working title of The Last Cyberman. The script was found by Hannah Durham, who posted a picture of the script to Facebook with the caption, "Found Doctor Who script in the back of a taxi. Tiki spoilers anyone?" It was then posted to Reddit by Dan Rowling with the caption, "Look what a Facebook friend found in a taxi in Cardiff on Monday." Arrangements were then made by Hannah Durham and Dan Rowling to return the script to BBC. The other thing is the theater repurposed as military barracks in the same theater repurposed as military barracks from the Doctor's daughter. Another thing is the punishment platoon used the same communicators as the clerics from the time of Angels, Flesh and Stone. It's also of the 11th Doctor. Matt Smith found his dual performance to be a struggle and received little support from the crew, one constantly voiced his frustrations at. So, yeah, again. While Neil Gaiman enjoys the script as he wrote it, he found that the finished product was misinterpreted by Stephen Wolfenden, leaving a lot of his intentions unclear. Gaiman revealed in 2018 that he felt like the product was being taken out of his control and being weakened without his consent, leaving him with a bitter experience. Whilst this hasn't altered his love of the show or his desire to return, it did lead him to demand full creative control of future projects based on his scripts. So that were the notes. And now some continuity. Because every episode, every story is in a certain context. It relates to previous or future episodes. So some links between stories. So what is this story in continuity? So according to Webby, there are 699 wonders of the universe. Third Doctor once declared as much after the destruction of the 700 wonder, the great city of the Exilians. See that in TV story Death to the Daleks. The second thing is the Doctor can play chess. We see that in the Sunmakers, the Endwords of Tara, the Curse of Fenric, the Wedding of River Song. And also, Time Lords inventing chess was a query first considered by the second Doctor, also seen in Crow's Dreams of Empire. Another thing is that this is not Doctor's first encounter with his Cybermen. Purported to be an automated game playing machine. When the Eighth Doctor encountered the Silver Turk, a Cyberman, it too attacked its controllers. We see it in the audio story, the Silver Turk. The third thing is that the Doctor mentions and exploits the Cyberman's weakness to gold. See that in the TV story Events of the Cybermen, Earthshock and Silver Nemesis. Vince Simon is also with Tom Baker, Orchak, Peter Davidson, Silver Nemesis is with the Seventh Doctor. And so Doctor mentions this in the stories and exploits the Cybermen's weakness to gold and cleaning fluids. This in the moon base. So a lot of thing is that the two impact suits can be seen. We see that in the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. That's a Christmas special, actually. Another thing is that the Doctor says children are under his protection. We see that also in the Bells of Saint John for First Doctor. Of no, that's not so. Uh, wait. Whatever, I know. Angie and Archie Maitland travel in the TARDIS as they had previously blackmailed Clara into taking them along. We see that in the Crimson Horror. Another thing is that the Doctor shows Mr. Clever memory of his most recent regeneration. TV linked to TV episode The End of Time. Another thing is that when talking about the Doctor to Clara, Mr. Clever says that he's had some cowboys in here. The 10th Doctor used this phrase to describe the state of the ship. As Madame de Pompadour, that is in a TV story, The Girl in the Fireplace. And the 11th Doctor also said that this to young Amelia Pond in the 11th Hours, the first adventure with the 11th Doctor on screen. Mr. Clever seems excited to get knowledge of the Time Lords, whereas earlier in their history, the cyber leader considered the secrets of the Time Lords to be one of no concern to the Cybermen. We see it in the Silver Nemesis. Several wax replicas of the creatures are seen in Webley's room. This includes an Avodnia head. You see it, Warriors of the of Kutlag. That is, by the way, a Sarah Jane adventure. A Blowfish head and a Kiss Bang Bang. It's, I think it's a Torchwood, yes. And a Shenshit head, that of the Doctor. A Chameleon, TV, the Faceless Ones. And a dummy that's in a relation and link to the TV story, The God Complex. An Ultramancer, Pan Babylonian, and a Lugal era Kush. That's a relation and link to TV story The Rings of Akatan. Another thing is that the Doctor previously visited an amusement park, quote, controlled by aliens. That's a reference in relation to the greatest show in the galaxy. That's a Seventh Doctor story. It's Vesta McCoy. Another thing is that Angie's mobile phone has no service, indicating that the Doctor didn't give her a super phone, as he had with other companions since his ninth incarnation. We see it in TV story The End of the World 42, the Doctor's daughter and dinosaurs on a spaceship. Another thing is that the Doctor mentions the Cybermets. Also, there's a relation to the Tomb of the Cybermen, Revenge of the Cybermen, and Closing Time. Another thing is, Doctor echoes a quote from his former companion, Rory Williams, when confronted with the troops aiming guns at him. Quote, "Don't shoot, I'm nice," end quote. See it in the episode The God Complex. Another thing is the Doctor's defeat on the Cyber Banner, distracting him with a bluff about an elite segment to drain his power. Same stratagem he used against Fenric in his seventh incarnation, The Curse of Fenric. Another thing is that the Doctor refers to an enemy, the Cybermet, as, quote, beautiful. See it in TV episode Tooth and Claw, The Girl in the Fireplace, The God Complex, and Bro's Dark Horizons. Another thing in continuity is that the Doctor had previously told companions not to wander off. It's also in the TV episode The Girl in the Fireplace, 10th Doctor. Unit also designed a device that would blow up a planet to be used if left with no other options. The Osterhagen Project. So that is in double parts the story The Stolen Earth slash Journey's End. That's what also with Martha Jones in it. Then have the Doctor and Mr. Clever discuss the Doctor removing himself from databanks across the universe. See, in also relation to a link and reference to Asylum of the Daleks, dinosaurs on a spaceship, and the Angels take Manhattan. Another thing is that the Doctor says that the Cybermen can't convert non-human beings. However, in his sixth incarnation with Tom Baker, uh, Colin Baker, two Bakers, he met Cybermen who, whilst in the land of fiction, converted fairies, trolls, mermen, vampires, and even a whale into their cyber forces. That is in an audio adventure called Legend of the Cybermen. Another thing is that Porridge's title of Imperator is similar to a title, Imperatrix, on Gallifrey, which Pandora and the Doctor's former companion Romana held. Also Time Lord, Romana. And it's in the audio Lies Pandora to Appropriation. Another thing is that the Doctor's body being possessed by a villainous being that makes him appear to be an evil version of himself is similar to the instance where the Ninth Doctor has his body overtaken by an entity in the comic, The Cruel Sea. And the last thing in the continuity is that the Tenth Doctor also considers regenerating to rid himself of a being who was possessing him. We see that in the TV episode of 42. So, that, my friends, is Nightmare Silver. Yes, there's much to talk about this interesting story. So, again, if you haven't watched this wonderful story, please, I highly recommend you to watch this. It's a very important story and episode, and in the whole context of Cyberman development, it's a very crucial thing. More explained, more expanded, more yeah, more of a explanation of how the whole Cyberman thing works. So watch this important story and episode. So that's it. I hope you enjoy this live stream. Please put your comments on this video. If you want to contact me, you can contact me. Via YouTube or Discord. So leave me with the commercials. Why we call it random? Random because we will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies, series, books, and music, and especially a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Random because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to the channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube, and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel, Tech Doctor Who. And you will find me quick because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, mate, and have a lot of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. Rest me to say is that, yes, over in about a few hours, we will see first two episodes of Series 14 or Season 1, the 15th Doctor Nakuti Gadwa. So I'm looking forward to meet you next time. And for now, I say to you, have a nice weekend. Bye bye and zwy zwy.